Hello everyone, good morning. My name is NAOWAO. Thanks for coming to this workshop, Kaiju Dreams, Creating Creatures from Childhood Memories. Before I start, I would like to share my showreel first. Thank you. Thank you. So what do I do? I'm a Japanese-Taiwanese 3D artist and director currently based in Berlin. I love to travel and make 3D art from my experiences living in different cultures and through my artistic research. It often involves mythical worlds and creatures. Originally, I started from filmmaking and VJing, and my current work involves music videos, concert and planetarium visuals, digital fashion projects, and installations. I started using ZBrush and Substance Painter around 4 years ago, and it has become one of my favorite softwares because of the freedom to sculpt, and it opened so many doors for me ever since. So to explain to those today's project of Kaiju Dreams, I like to share my artistic research and design process, followed by sculpting in ZBrush, texturing in Substance Painter, a little bit of 3D sampler, and rendering in Cinema 4D and Redshift. That's the final image we will make today. In recent years, my works have been inspired by mythology and folklore. I see the power of storytelling in human beings and their relationship to life and nature, which is my passion across interest across different cultures. Since I grew up half Japanese and Taiwanese in Japan and lived abroad for more than 10 years, I see myself drawn back to Eastern Asian worlds. So this painting is called Hyakiyako by Kano Masanobu, a parade of yokai, supernatural entities in Japan. They are mischievous beings born from people's fear or humor about their experiences of the unknown. So visualizing the unseen and inner fears and anxieties, spiritualities, and humor is something that I relate to as an artist. I would like to share some works I made, which are continuous links to creating this Kaiju project. These are yokai characters that I made, speculating a sci-fi world inspired by traditional Japanese culture. So the left one is called Tsuchi yokai. They are born from addiction to notification on our gadgets. He wears a crafted garment from futon, for he comes at night to haunt you and induce insomnia. So I had a few nights also haunted by this yokai. The center one is called Shisen yokai. It's born from the feeling of eyes are looking everywhere through CCTV, society, and social media. The right one is called Kumamushi yokai, and these are big data stealers inspired by tardigrades and yakuza. This is a piece I made after my travels in Wakayama, Japan, a region called the Land of Water. They have so many blue and emerald green rivers and valleys and waterfalls where people worship dragon gods. It's also a region important in other mythical stories in Japan. And from the feeling I felt here and with my previous life experiences, I created this piece to reconnect with the feelings of my relationship with water. I'm also hugely inspired by mythical creatures. They have powerful symbolism that have lasted through history and are still strong today. So I strive to honor this symbolism and incorporate it into my work, adding new layers of meaning to it and reconnecting to my roots. So these creatures are born from speculating on how avatars might appear in the digital space, redefining beauty. This was a collaboration I did with Cult magazine in London. So back to today's topic, what are kaijus? Kaiju are enormous, mysterious creatures with special powers, often bringing disastrous consequences. They are typically inspired by designs resembling dinosaurs, machines, nature, and other animals. It's said that they serve as metaphors for trauma and anxieties from experiences such as war or natural disasters. Despite their origin in darker themes, they have become popular among both children and adults through films, TV, and toys. So when I was a kid in the 90s, my brother and cousins were fans of the kaijus, but it wasn't quite my style back then, although I appreciate and love the design right now. But that time, it was too dark for me and a bit too grotesque with a feeling of masculinity. So my childhood was more like this. I love collecting small, glittering, neon, iridescent, colorful, cute things. I love keeping small little creatures and feeding them inside my pockets. I think many of you did as well. And this sticker book is one of our generation's treasure. We exchanged and collected, and I was crazy about them. So for this project, I thought, what if I made a kaiju from my childhood world, instead of trauma and anxieties, a metaphor for my endless appetite for cute and colorful things? To design the kaiju, this was my thought process. So first, I started with my memories from my childhood, colorful toys, many stickers, funky characters, and then I questioned what if a kaiju was born from my childhood world. Then I picked two elements, stickers and starfish. Image of a starfish popped into my head because they're always sticking onto a surface with their sticky legs. And I also had lots of star stickers. So combining the kaiju design style with this concept, I created something like this. It's quite a rough scribble, which I usually start like this for making creatures. So I used the star shape for the body and hands and thought about a shape that could still fit a human inside, since that was the overall shape of original kaijus that they were used for filming with people inside them. So I keep it rough here and experiment in 3D while I sculpt. Now let's dive into ZBrush. So first I start from a sphere project in the light box here. And then I start making the rough shapes. I use the mask lasso tool and the move tool to pull out shapes in a rough style first. Make sure that to rotate the camera in 360 to see it from different directions. And once the mesh is in the style you like, we need to make the mesh cleaner, so we have to go to use Dynamesh. On the tool geometry, you can find the Dynamesh, and this is important to have a cleaner mesh to sculpt. To add the tentacles and the eyes, I use this curved tube brush. This is a reference of the eyes of the snail, because snails are also sticky. And I add the eyes with the IMM primitive brush. Once you locate the meshes, you go and hit Dynamesh again to combine the meshes and clean up. To create this hollow shape, I use the mask lasso tool to mask the area out and then push down the mesh. once you've done that, you would again do Dynamesh. So now I would like to add the eyeballs. And for here, I would like to use the append instead of the IMM brush, because I would like to have it as a separate subtool layer to have a different UV. And you can do append under subtools and click on sphere and place it in location. To create the mouth, also inspired by snails, you can also use the mask lasso tool and then push the mesh back. To create this detailed rim, I just use the standard brush. All the brushes you can find from hotkey B and then the capital letter of the brush. In this case, B and S, you can find the standard brush. Now to sculpt the details, you need a higher mesh. So you can add, you can do Control D to add subdivision of higher polygons. And once you have a higher subdiv, I like to use the damn standard brush for creating these lines for the details. And then I always like to add a bottom to make everything cute. And for the bottom, I used pinch brush after the damn standard. So you can see here that when you use the pinch brush, it kind of creates a thinner crease. Now it's damn standard here, and then I use the pinch brush here. Super cute. And for the hands, this is a reference of the gecko. It's the sticky, non-stickiest substance. And these tiny hair-like structures are called setae. They stick to surfaces like walls, ceilings, and branches. So I wanted to apply this element to this kaiju as well, as like the sticker theme. I again use the damn standard for these lines. And then I also use the Geo Soft Foam brush and the SK Cloth brush. I love these two brushes, which you can get for free at ZBrushGuys.com or on ArtStation from Sasaki Kaoru. So the Geo Soft Foam brush is a really nice brush for if you like to draw like details, which I will do here. It creates this really nice smooth line. And then the SK brush creates lines like this. Yeah, it's my favorite two brushes. And I also like the symbolism of the eye. It gives this feeling of it's looking everywhere to find something, which is perfect for this kaiju. And now I would like to share the process of making the IMM brush. IMM brushes are brushes where you can collect multiple meshes to insert to another mesh. People use it for screws or flowers, but here I will use it for the stickers I want to stick to the kaiju body. This will be the final sticker brush I will make. So first, you would make a base rough mesh. And since I want to add some thickness to the stickers so it won't float out the body, I mask out the back side and then push the forward side so it adds a thickness. And then I create this hollow shape using mask lasso tool and create a polygroup to prepare for UV. And once you have some basic shape, you can use the polygroup and do ZRemesh. You can find the ZRemesher on the tools and geometry. And then to make the UVs from these polygroups, we can go to Z plugin, UV master, and unwrap. So it's important to have the polygroups to be able to do this. And once you unwrap, we can change the size of the UV islands because I want to make the eye shape bigger. So we can do this by scaling up and repositioning. And once you're done, you can unflatten. So here, there's this UV master menu. And Here you can flatten and unflatten the UV shape, UV maps. And once you edit the UV maps in flatten, you can unflatten, copy UVs, and then paste it back on the original mesh. And now we like to add some details again on this brush. So I again use the damp standard brush, the Geosoftform brush, to add these lines. And I also like to use the alpha brush with standard brush, using the drag rectangle tool. In using this, we can add these tiny dots here. And once I'm done with making the details, I export the low poly and high poly, so we can bake in Substance Painter later. Once you're done with this IMM brush, you can create the insert mesh and make it as a new IMM brush, which you can create like here. And then you can start applying to the original mesh. So now I'm applying the star stickers I made into the body. The next sticker, I'm making this nudie brand sticker. And to make this, I start from a plane with a high subdivision, and I use a mask pen to draw the shape, make it into different polygroups, and add an edge loop around the mesh, around the island, so we can have a cleaner Z remesh later. Once you did the edge loop on the tool geometry, we can smooth the lines by using polish on the tool and deformation. So now you can have a cleaner mesh for a better Z remesh later. I slightly adjust the shape with the move tool and then use Z remesh to lower polygons to have this clean mesh. To add the thickness, here I use a Z modeler brush. So to use a Z modeler brush, I go to Z modeler, Q mesh, and then island. And once you select that, you can add the thickness like this. Yep. And to add the puffiness of the sticker, because there were puffy stickers when I was a kid, I use the inflate brush to move it like this. And the sticker will become like this. And now is the fun time to stick it everywhere. So stick it as you like, and here on the bottom, stick, stick, stick. And make sure to adjust the depth of the IMM brush. You can find this on the brush tab with the depth, and this black dot will show you the height of the positioning of the IMM brush. So if it's too high, it's going to be floating, so make sure to adjust it as you need. So now I would like to explain how to make your own alpha brush. So for this skin, I use this chameleon's image I found in Unsplash, because I thought the skin would be perfect for this kaiju. So download a reference image and import them in 3D Sampler. And adjust the parameters as you like. Once you think it's good enough, then export it as a Targa file. And the Targa file is a height map image we can use for the alpha brush. So once you have this Targa height map, import it into Photoshop and create a vignette frame which makes the border of the alpha brush smoother. And here I had an idea that to make it more unique, maybe add some cute drawings onto the skin, like very random. And this went actually really well, because this is the final image. It looks like real stickers stuck on the skin, or actually it's part of the skin, but kind of like a sticker. So I went free and drew this like smiley face or stars, because the black is a depth of the map. And export this as a PNG file. And now you go back into ZBrush and import the alpha map you made. And to apply this, you can mask out the space with the mask lasso tool. Because I want to apply it in this area, I mask the space out and import the alpha image that you made and select the drag rectangles tool with a standard brush. And now you can start dragging the skin on. And you can be very experimental here. And then I start using the standard brush with this alpha. It's in the template in ZBrush. And I started adding some details on the skins. I like to do this to add extra dimension to the texture, which gives a more alive feeling. And then I also made a smaller alpha brush from the previous skin. This is important to like fill in the smaller gaps that I had before, and also gives like an extra variation. So now here you can see that I'm applying to the empty spaces. Like at the border as well, to give some variations. And then I also wanted to make another skin brush, so I imported this one from Iguana and then added to the belly with the same process. So when designing the Kaiju skin, I wanted to reference real reptiles while also remaining free from interpretation. And then to add more details like we did, I masked out some scales and used the standard brush to pull out the texture to add variation. So it seems a lot of work, but it doesn't take that much time. I took maybe 5 to 10 minutes to do all these details. So after you are done with everything, you need to export the low poly and high poly mesh. And I will skip the process of UV here, but you would need to have the UVs at the end. Now we open Substance Painter, import the lower mesh right here, and we will bake the mesh from high poly. So to bake the mesh of high poly, go to Texture Set Settings, Bake Mesh Map, and import the high mesh in this box over here. Make sure to match by mesh name. And unclick the ID here, we don't need it. And then Substance will bake the map for you. There will be ambient occlusion maps, curvature maps, normal maps, and we will be using these maps in later process. So to start with the skin, I always like to add some noise layers where I apply multiple layers with different noise textures. This way the skin becomes more interesting and realistic. So I start from the base, like a bluish tone skin, with the roughness up. And then I add a second layer for like a slightly darker tone. And then we add a black mask with a right click here, add a fill, and then in the fill there is this grayscale. So here you can search for noise, and then you can select from all these templates, adjust the variation of the noise, and also play with the opacity. And then you can add multiple layers of these noises to add some dimensions. Now we will use the ambient occlusion map that we made before to add some depth shadow colors. It creates soft shadowing as if the model was lit without a direct light source, like on a cloudy day. So we will add another layer of a different color and then apply the ambient occlusion map in the black mask. So here you can see the ambient occlusion is applied in the shadowy areas. And you can play with the level in intensity as well. And then I would use this curvature map next. It's also from the bake we did. To add this curvature layer, it gives an effect to enhance the sculpting we did. So you can see like the sculpt we did is popping up with the curvature map we applied. And for this kaiju, I applied a glossy material. And you can shift the colors here to see which one is better. So now we can start painting and adding colors. I used paintbrush mainly here to replicate the spray paint effect on the miniature kaiju figures. I used the paintbrush, spray paint brush, to mimic this spray paint, and you can start painting. And it's good to have a good reference because to imagine the outcome. And I wanted the eyes to be in an anime style, so I added some white dots, which is a reflection, and the size and the positioning of these dots change the feeling of the character, so you can play a little bit here. And now I'm painting the other body parts like the belly, the forehead, and the tips of the finger. And here I had an idea that to add extra metallic paints on some details on the skin to enhance the sticker effect. So it looks like someone sticked a sticker on the kaiju, or it grew out from its skin. And this was one of the best times during the process since I discovered new expression using these softwares. And I love it when it goes back to the concept as well, to the stickers. And the last touch is the, of course, paint the tongue with the noise texture, like similar to the skin we did. And then add some noise height to the whole body. And we can add this by using the height layer, mask, fill, and using the noise. I also wanted to keep the tongue kind of glossy to feel that drooling effect of the kaiju. And now we are done with the textures, so we would export them from Substance and import them in Cinema 4D. So, bless you. So once it's imported, mainly I wanted to share this glitter shader effect. To make this glitter effect, I used the ambient occlusion and color correction and the car paint node. The ambient occlusion node is this iridescent color effect, and the color correction is I put it here to change like the whole shading to experiment. And the car paint node is mainly the node to give this glittery texture effect. So here in the metal flakes, you can play with the density and the scale. So yeah, now the higher the density, the more the glitter, the lower, the less. And then for imitating this soft figuring, I played with transmission and subsurface scattering. And this is totally up to your direction, but for this time, I used transmission around 0.3, subsurface around 0.6. So subsurface, I love to play with it because it's a replication of the skin and how light passes through a translucent object. And the final rendering looks like this. So actually this sticker is a real sticker I made. And when I make a creature, I always like to put a backstory. So this is called a shiru kaiju. Shiru is sticker in Japanese. These tiny kaiju monsters love gobbling up glittery, colorful, and shiny stickers. They often dwell near children who enjoy collecting stickers. They are so greedy that they can even influence kids to gather more stickers. And some theories propose that these shiru kaijus are born from children's sticker cravings. So it's an egg or chicken situation. And make sure to render the bottom and the close-up. Thank you. Thank you so much. If anyone's interested in my process or my artist research on the topics around mask, yokai, life and death, or mythology, please connect with me. And if you have any other questions, also just say hi. And thank you so much. It was an honor to speak here. And if you haven't scanned yet, if you scan this, you have a chance to win a Maxon 1 license. So please take a photo. And that is the end of my presentation. Thank you so much. If anybody has any questions, or if not, you can come to me after. And I also have brought the stickers here, so if you want one of these, please come and say hi. Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much. Have a good day.